Well, the Fin Review's political editor Phil Coorey today says the government is considering changes to its controversial tax on superannuation funds with more than $3 million in them. The report says that the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in particular has been urged by former Prime Minister Paul Keating to consider changing the plan. Let's go to our business editor Ross Greenwood for more on this. Yeah, this story jumped out today. Phil Coorey is good for a scoop and he's got one here.
He has.
So you've consistently said, Ross, on the tax on unrealised capital gains, it's not properly thought through.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
It erodes trust in the system. Well, that's what it does.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter whether you've got $3 million in your super fund or not. Now, I think people recognise that those with more than $3 million, pick a number, right, that there should be some means of taking more tax from them, of not giving them what is effectively a significant amount, tens of billions of dollars of years in benefit goes to people in their superannuation funds. And for good reason. We want people to save in super funds. But there's a point at which you say, well, how much is enough? And how much is really sitting in there, really almost as a means of transferring wealth to the next generation, rather than trying to provide a genuine sum of money that you can live on. So the principle of what they're trying to do is right, to try and limit it. So I just want to go back and remind people exactly what this whole plan is. It affects funds which have more than $3 million in it. It's only the money above $3 million subject to this. The tax on their fund, their income, if you like, would go from 15 to 30%. But the big kicker is taxing unrealised capital gains each year.
Yeah.
Now, the problem also is if there's no indexation for inflation, so this means more and more people eventually end up in this problem, and also there's no immediate offsets for losses. So in other words, you actually make $1 million this year and you get taxed on that $1 million. Next year, you lose $1 million, you don't get any benefit from it. You're just simply bad luck. That's the way in which it is. And if we go further forward, it's a situation of basically looking at who's affected as well. So at the moment, there's between 80 and 87,000 people today affected, 0.3% of superannuants, and people would say, well, they're rich, who cares? But look, that's increased by 30,000 people since June 2021. So just really 4 years or so. And the issue is that's going to keep on increasing.
Yeah.
And there's your fundamental problem. So there's just, I think it sends the wrong message to people who are aspiring to create more wealth to say, look, if you get there, we're going to whack you pretty hard with what seems to be a fairly unfair tax.
I've always thought it was it's taken from the book of socialism, you know, by clipping a ticket that way. And very simply, and I don't know if you agree with this point or not, but it was almost like, you know, let's say you put a bet on something. And we'll say the Broncos, because Jim Chalmers loves the Broncos. It's like putting a bet on a game, but then taking the clip before the game's even been kicked off. Before
it's even, that's true. And in this particular case, if you really think hard about this, because there is a better way of doing this, and this is the other thing that the Treasurer has been so stubborn about this. He says it's all about fairness, of course, but there is a better way. So just having a look about this, you know, because this notion of transferring wealth, being unfair to keep money in super to transfer. Now, as I say, it affects funds over $3 million. My theory is you would index that so that you actually don't basically make it like bracket creep, where everybody's getting sort of poured in there and the government's making more money. So, but my theory is no tax on unrealised capital gains. But then the next part about this that I think is the really important thing is you effectively sit there and say, let's try to basically then say to people, you need to have the tax from 15 to 30%, tick for that, but then start to force their money above $3 million into some sort of an annuity. So they earn an income. So you can't simply sit there and say, right, we're going to buy farmland or we're going to buy a business or whatever it might be and earn no cash on that. You've got to put your money into an income stream and then you tax the annuity income.
So, I mean, I think a lot of people do agree with the Treasurer when they say, look, those guys who've got 100 million in super, I don't know how many there are.
There are a few.
Is there a tax there? Is there a bigger tax, or is that what you were just referring to?
That's exactly what I'm referring to. So in other words, you force the people into an income stream. So in other words, you can't literally sit there and say this money's sitting here earning no income or small amounts of income and we're going to pass it to the next generation. You're forced to take an income off it, so you're forced to pay the tax.
So would there be a level where you're not allowed to have super in anymore above, like, I don't know, 10,
Can I just say, that's almost
that we're not going to have anyway,
the horse bolting from the stable door. These people have complied with the laws of the land to accumulate it. So you've got to sit there and say, start it from here. Here is the level. These are the rules. If you go above here from now, these are the rules you're going to do. And if you've got more than, say, $3 million in your super fund, anything you've got above that, let's say it's 50%, 75%, I don't know what the number is, but there's a number to say that's got to go into an annuity. You've got to earn income off that. We can tax that.
I think
so they'll get the tax. They'll limit the benefit of having too much in the super fund. They won't have it as an intergenerational thing. And I think the people would say, yeah, big tick for that. That'd work.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there too about people having been playing by the rules too. And that's what happens at the end of it. They get their
and there's the faith and the trust in the system. If they keep changing the rules and try and clip the ticket, as you call it, that's where people say, well, maybe I need to put my money somewhere else. And not in superannuation because I don't trust them.
Yeah, and there would be
that's not a good thing.
There would be workarounds.